Howdy doody. Welcome to episode 181 of TDI. This is Dr. O on the horn to start per usual. And as usual, I'm joined by the one and only, my co-host, my best friend, my brother, Ricky Flicks. Great to see you, my friend. We're coming off one of our favorite episodes to record every year, the most anticipated movies draft. Is there anything that you kind of regret not picking?
Regret not picking. Well, I stand by my Napoleon over Beau is Afraid as an anticipated. But if I had to think about it a little more, I think if I had to pick one movie that Joaquin would get nominated for an Oscar for, it would be for Beau is Afraid. So that's in my mind and has been in my mind. I also was thinking we forgot to talk about Air Jordan.
I know, dude. I can't believe we forgot. Matt Damon, Ben Affleck together on a Michael Jordan, the beginning of the basketball shoe industry. Like, come on.
That's a tough look. Especially for this podcast. We didn't talk about Priscilla, the Jacob Elordi Elvis movie with Sofia Coppola. I was actually
that wasn't making it.
No, but like not even an honorable mention when
I
Jacob
know.
Elordi was such a perfect casting. Besides
that's what I kept thinking about after we were done recording. I'm like, what the honorable mentions? We breezed through them so quick, and there were so many movies that we've talked about and we knew have been coming for so long with the trailers, the superhero movies, and I was just thinking to myself, there are a couple on here I would have loved just to dive into a little bit more. And after seeing the Beau is Afraid poster, that would have I would have drafted that probably ahead of Michael Mann Ferrari.
Yeah, I think if I definitely am more anticipating Beau is Afraid than Ferrari, just because of the volatility of a Michael Mann directed movie. Thinking of you, Black Hat. I'm also anticipating this wouldn't have made the list, but I would have mentioned it. A24 is a big year ahead. Like obviously, we're all once this year Oscar contender. But when you picked Zac Efron for the flop list, or what was the list that we did? Biggest childhood star flop.
It was like overhyped, or is it most overrated?
I took offense to that because I still think he has
unfulfilled potential draft.
Unfulfilled potential. I took offense to that because I do think he is a star, and I think that he has shown some great qualities as an actor. And yes, he hasn't been in a lot of great movies, but he's shown like that ceiling is high. And I think this year, A24 movie, Iron Claw, he's playing a wrestler. He got absolutely huge, not only yoked like he usually is, but huge for it. I think this might be the one where it gets him in the breakout ascending, not towards like an Oscar or anything, but just hey, he's a legitimate actor, not just a good-looking movie star.
I think we're on the same page. We just released the graphic for our most anticipated movies, and I was instantly like sunken with regret on some of my picks. Now, not that we made mistakes, but I think it's also a responsibility of us just like make people know about these movies that they probably have never heard of. And like when I saw Iron Claw and I read more about it, it's not only like Zac Efron that has me excited or the A24 aspect. Like we both loved The Bear. Right?
Yes.
The Bear, Jeremy Allen White making a transition now, trying to carry that momentum from The Bear, probably could be an Emmy-winning performance, would certainly be nominated. Yes. Him carrying it to the big screen alongside like the movie star status of a Zac Efron. Zac Efron it seems like he's really going for it from the stills that we got. The haircut looks like someone took a hand pump to his chest and just like hit it about a trillion times. It's almost like if the basketball, you hit it one extra pump, it'll just pop and it'll just like a balloon. So seeing him in here, Harry Dickinson coming off Triangle of Sadness, Lily James, right? Also like Pam and Tommy, maybe not the best show, but she transforms completely into Pamela Anderson, where she's like kind of having a little makeover with her career, not only just with her appearance, right? In Pam and Tommy, but then also from the WWE world, Maxwell Friedman, all right, also joining this cast as one of the Von
MJF,
Erich
right?
brothers. What is that?
Is it MJF?
MJF, yes, MJF, probably he's the most electric wrestler that we have going today. Someone that's probably going to save wrestling and not rely on The Rock and John Cena to show up like once every 2 years. Like he is like the face of wrestling now. For him to be a part of this, we're Mindhunter fans. Holt McCallney is playing the dad of the Von Erichs. A tragic story. These wrestlers who had so much promise, they were champions, but then were like a family full of tragedy, suicide, death. That's going to be an electric movie. That's the one where
Intense.
I felt like we should inform people about that movie. Any other thoughts on Iron Claw? Because I did want to talk a little bit more about Beau is Afraid because we got a first look.
Yeah, I think that Iron Claw, like A24 has a huge year ahead, like I mentioned before, but Iron Claw is going to be the like here boy here, like a treat to all of us. I think that's that's the treat movie from that studio for this year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure about this movie when it's coming out, but we've seen stills of it. A Different Man, Sebastian Stan. We saw the facial reconstructive surgery movie. I don't know when. I don't know.
That's like the Elephant Man type of like reconstructed
Yes.
face. Wow.
That's the only other one I would say maybe I'm more anticipated that A24 movie if that was coming out this year, but I'm not sure. But Iron Claw is coming out this year. And you also mentioned Jeremy Allen White last night. It's just funny that you mentioned his name. So last night, I'm like with my girlfriend, and I'm like, she's like, "What should we watch?" I'm like, "I got to show you this show." And we're gonna have a draft here on the pod of best shows of 2022, and this is gonna be on the list. And it's quick, and you gotta watch it. And we watched the first episode, and she was like, "Oh, it's amazing," but it's basically like the not quite my tempo because it's just so like intense and coming at you. And I'm just like, well, that's exactly what Iron Claw is gonna be.
Yeah.
Pretty much. It's a serious movie. And I think of Iron Claw, the first thing I think of is Foxcatcher, Steve Carell, Mark Ruffalo, Channing Tatum.
Good comparison.
But that didn't get a lot of recognition. All right. It
did at the Academy a little bit.
Yes, but like recognition. Not a lot of people saw it.
No box office appeal. Yeah.
This one,
it's a classic Oscar movie.
Yeah. And that Channing Tatum and Steve Carell coming off of Michael Scott and Mark Ruffalo, big movie star. But maybe this one could MJF. You have Zac Efron, obviously. Maybe this can get a little more notoriety with the public audience here. I'm not sure if it'll get the same critical success as a Foxcatcher, but that's like the easy comp that I'm thinking of with Iron Claw. So definitely excited for Iron Claw.
And like there's some heaviness to the Bear, and I think the Bear, what makes it so good, it's because of how heavy it is. Like the shorter episodes works fantastically. Yeah, it flows so well in that short span. It's almost overwhelming if you make it more than 30 minutes. And I can't wait till your girlfriend watches the One Take episode because the high tension and like it's almost like everything's building up to that episode. And you as a member of the audience, you just feel it. You feel the heaviness and what like is on the shoulders of Jeremy Allen White's character in the finishing of that episode. It's I can't wait to talk about favorite shows. I am going, by the time we talk about the best shows of 2022, I will catch up with The White Lotus. And that is a commitment that I'm going through right now. I'm setting it. I'm putting it on the record. I will watch it by the time next week when we do the top 5 shows of 2022.
Yeah, so that wasn't quite her tempo, but I was like, okay, we could try another show. And she loves cringe, like scenes, like cringy stuff.
Oh, we got a show for you.
So I was like, you should watch White Lotus. So she's in the middle of White Lotus season 1 and she loves it.
Yeah.
So that kind of quick pivot there.
And I did want to talk about, because we got the poster for Beau is Afraid, a more elaborate poster. We got a very ominous one from Ari Aster's upcoming film where it's just this young boy. All right. We assume is like a young version of like Joaquin Phoenix's character. But then we get this second poster that debuted today. We're recording on Thursday, January 5th. There is a variety of different, I think it's 3 different versions of Joaquin Phoenix with the young kid still in the same pose from the first poster. So we have Joaquin. It could be like from different time periods. It could be going throughout his life. It could be Joaquin playing different versions of himself. Maybe the kid is a version of Joaquin. It just is fascinating. It's a good poster to garner intrigue. And Joaquin Phoenix is going to have such a massive year. 2019 get into 2020 Oscars. He gets it for Joker now, right? Joker 2 coming out after these two this year with Ari Aster, and Joaquin seems like he is made for an Ari Aster film, and it seems like he's I don't know, he's just going to put on a show. And then him playing Napoleon for Ridley Scott. It's the first time he's reuniting with Ridley Scott since 2000 and Gladiator. It just seems like this is lining up to be his year. And then he goes to Joker again. I think this is like the time period. 2023 is going to be like where Joaquin, people start to say, is he the best?
This
Because
is his prime.
Because people will argue he's the best, but then people will say, okay, what have you done aside from Joker recently? Right? They could talk about like Inherent Vice. They could talk about You Were Never Really Here. I think all amazing performances. And like, I'm a huge Joaquin guy, but for some reason, he sometimes doesn't get mentioned in that same conversation as like Christian Bale, Leo DiCaprio. Because he's from that era. He's like the age of those guys, and he just seems like he plays third fiddle to those two. Am I wrong about that?
He's a little older. I think he's about to be 50.
Right. Okay. So I mean, yeah. Okay.
But
Maybe like Brad Pitt is probably like more popular and not brought up as much. Joaquin kind of had the hiatus.
Well, the big difference is that like Brad Pitt, Leo, these guys, they had an earlier start, earlier 90s, and they all were heartthrobs. Easy to get on the screen, easy to get into a lot easier time getting into a movie. Joaquin had to really rely on how good he is as an actor. And he didn't really get a breakout role, really. Like, he was in Signs in the early 2000s, but like
Gladiator, yeah.
Gladiator was the one where it's like, whoa, like this guy is on a different level. And he got nominated for it. So
can you imagine if like Joaquin, like, because he's this age, like what if he was the guy in what if he was Marky Mark in Boogie Nights? Like I don't know if that was a casting what if, or if that was ever on the table, but it seems like Joaquin during that, it's 97. He's probably like starting into conversations here. I know we have the breakthrough with Commodus and Gladiator, but man, like I think it could have came earlier. I don't know. It's just like I think it could have,
but I just think that like he was in a lot of shorts, he was in some TV shows. He just never really got that big break that like a Leo or Brad Pitt or like like all these big time actors do, because he's just I don't know this as a fact, but it's just like he's not that good looking. And like yes, he's married to Rooney Mara, but
not
like,
the same appeal.
Does not have the same appeal, so it's harder to get a gig when you're 25 years old. You might wait till you're 30.
I recently did see a clip on Twitter. I like to watch this award speech he gives at the SAG Awards when he won for Joker, and he talks about going for auditions, and he said like he never really had a shot because like he would hear the producers and those who are running the castings, and like they would just say listen like who's up next, and be like Leonardo. I love the way like Joaquin says it. It's just very funny, and it just makes you think like how many roles did he miss out on, and is it ever talked about?
Yeah, like anything about like Christian Bale, another one around the same age. 2000, he did American Psycho. Imagine Joaquin in American Psycho. He would have been great, but guess what? He didn't have the same looks as Christian Bale, but Joaquin looks like a psycho, so he's playing Joker.
Right.
And he's in The Master, and he's losing all this weight and smoking cigs, or he's gaining weight and smoking cigs, and Beau's afraid. So he's really
he's not as cool, dude. He's just not as cool.
Yeah. So he's not as flashy, he's not as cool. But he might be the GOAT.
This 2-year run's gonna be insane, dude.
This is his prime. Yes. If he gets another Oscar, in the next few years here, that's 2. Leo only has 1. And you could say, yeah, people will start talking. And guess what? Like, yeah, early on, like same year as Gladiator, he did The Yards with Mark Wahlberg. Like, not the greatest movie, but still a fun watch. He did a couple other movies like that, like
We Own the Night
in the 2000s. Yeah, but like
underrated.
Once he hit his stride, it's like there wasn't any looking back. And it's like, hey, like you're not really going to get a miss. So it's really like this is where he needs to take advantage of his prime and get these big time roles with these big time directors and be like, all right, let's start racking up the noms and maybe get a couple wins.